We catch ourselves obsessing about something that has nothing to do with anything, put it down. We catch ourselves carrying too much load, put it down. That's where the transforming of the mind actually kicks in, is when we realize we have control to put the damn thing down. Hey, sister. Welcome to Stay Salty and Bright, the podcast where kingdom women like yourself are reclaiming your faith, stepping into radical freedom, and building the abundant life God designed for your lifestyle and for your business. I'm your host, Anna Maria Jinga, and this is the space where God and growth align. I'm so glad you're here. Let's stay salty and bright together. My darlings, welcome. Welcome back to Stay Salty and Bright podcast. Today I have one of my absolute favorite guests here, Dr. Chris Wasson. We're not going to do introductions. We're not going to do anything because he's family already. He's part of our own. He's on the same mission to bring freedom to the minds and hearts of those who need God in their lives. And we have such a powerful topic for today that we're just going to dive in. So hello, Chris.
Hello. Glad to be here.
So good to have you. So awesome to have you back. And you know how important it is for us to stay connected. So thank you so much for joining this space again. Because today,
Sincerely my pleasure. It's so good.
yes. Today we get to talk about something that we talked yesterday, you and I as well, and many times in the past. It gets lonely on the way to the top, and it's lonely at the top. And
Yes,
with
is.
that, let's dive in. What is going on as we're building businesses, Chris? Why is it so lonely for us as we're building God's vision for this world?
Wow, that's a big question. Why? Well, I can only offer a personal perspective, obviously, but
Yes.
on the way to the top, just speaking as an entrepreneur, speaking as a medical provider, as somebody who's constantly looking out for other people's well-being, I'm kind of the show, right? It's one of those things that we often place ourselves at the center. We become the face, we become the voice of our business, which is important. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, we carry way too much. We tend to think that we have to do everything ourselves. And when you do that, even when there are people there to help you, who offer help, who you've hired, who are just good friends, family, whatever, they can get pushed to the side because you think that only you can actually make the difference. Only you can be the one that actually brings you across that tipping point and into the big that you're looking for, the exposure, the money, the all of it. And we forget God along the way too.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but these are things that happen consistently as we get busy, as we rely upon our own knowledge and wisdom instead of realizing, okay, maybe this is a time to step back. Maybe this is a time to realize that there's a reason that we all have talents. There's a reason that those talents are different and how those gaps help to fill each other, regardless of what situation we're talking about. My business, your business, friendships, family, whatever it is.
Yeah. And it does kind of stem from a place of pride. And we're human. At the end of the day, we're human. And it makes sense that we would think, hey, if God entrusted me with this vision, it's my job to do it. But we forget that it takes a village to build a human. It takes a village to build a business. It takes a village to build anything and to sustain it as well. But at the same time, it does get lonely on the way to the top, the more you keep your eyes on the vision, because the lies also start to fall back. The people that don't want your best start to get left behind because you're there. You're seeing God, you're seeing the vision, and you're like, okay, I need to trek forward. The enemy will throw 1,000,001 things our way to kind of stop us. But it does get lonely because it is our gift to do it. And just like you said, sometimes we forget that we have God in our corner. Sometimes we forget we have family in our corner. Sometimes we forget we have friends literally a text message away to be like, hey, I'm having a crappy day. How are you doing? Can you take me
Yep.
out of my crappiness for a moment? We forget that because we think I should be able to handle all of this. I should be able to just be here and be with Jesus in my suffering, and that's that. But it's not that. It's He doesn't want us to suffer so much. So that's when we need to do better things. What are some things that we could do better than just ignoring what is available for us?
I think for me, it is constantly um, not discounting what God and others may be able to do for me. As you were talking, my mind started to go in a slightly different direction. I was just thinking about the ways that I assume that they may want to help me. I
Yeah.
assume, okay, maybe this circumstance isn't one that so and so would want to help me with, or so and so is really suited for, or whatever. I'll make other people's choices for them instead of, as part of God's plan, we are all offered choice, and He makes sure that that choice is available to everybody. We should be doing the same thing, I feel like, not assuming that we understand what's best for them or where they fit into the plan or anything like that, but offering them opportunities, and then finding out where they fit along the line, instead of just assuming, you know, they're not suited for this or they don't want this. I should give them the opportunity and let them make that choice for themselves.
Leaving people to their free will. That's and to not control the circumstances, that's a hard one, man. That is
Too true.
one of, I think, the hardest things as business owners. I've noticed both in you and I and in people that I talk to and clients and so on. When you embark on building something, you want to control it. You want to make sure that everything is so well taken care of. And that means that you're going to try to control the people that are around you as well. So you said it so well, to leave them to help the way they want, not to put the expectation of you need to help like this or you can't help at all, because we don't know where the miracles are coming from. We don't know how God can work through other people around us. We don't. But it's probably in our human mind and our human understanding to lean not on our own understanding. Yes, yes. But it is in our understanding to try to control things, to try to manage things, in sometimes even in the detriment of how God can work in our lives. So I have a question now. Would you like to share a little bit about how you're going through a very interesting transitional time right now?
Sure.
You're like,
Uh,
where to
we
begin?
all have our periods of transition, right?
Yes.
And we often, oh, I don't know, for me, I don't get to control when those things are most of the time. We're talking about control, right?
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
talking about how, in our lack of control, our lack of certainty, that we tend to veer off and try and grasp even more control, right? Forgetting about this person, God, how they may have a better way for us. Because I don't know about you, but I've had many prayers answered by other people, the ways that they've chosen to insert themselves in my life or put my me in my place,
Yeah.
right, so to speak. Not in a bad way, just like you need to remember you don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's where we tend to go, or I tend to go, is okay, well, I've got to figure this out on my own.
Yeah.
Like you said, when you have the vision, when it's your baby, when it's your project, when it's your business, whatever it is, you want to keep it going in the direction that you feel like it should go, but not realizing, of course, in life, we still have those transition moments where we feel like it should be going this way, but God's like, no, 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 no. Yeah, you're moving and you're growing, but I need you to grow this direction.
Yeah.
And for us, me and my family, over the last 2 years, we've had some pretty crazy stuff happen just in our home. So something that's physical, but also most of us, I would assume, and sometimes it's not bad to assume,
Yes.
that your home is a sanctuary. It's a place that you know you can come for security, for safety, for comfort, for a refuge from the storm, the crazy that is the world, all the noise. And when that's compromised in any way, uh, it'll throw you for a loop. At least it has me and my family over the last 2 years. 13 different plumbing incidents.
Oof.
And water is a wonderful thing all along the way here, with all the problems that we've had with water. I've had to really maintain, okay, water's a good thing. It's necessary for life. Even Jesus Christ was compared to water, all these different things. Is trying to maintain a healthy relationship with water. I'm predominantly water. I can't hate water. But with all these different plumbing things that we've had going on, it's really compromised the way that we feel about our home, about our safety, about this sanctuary, and the ways that we've had to reach out to other people for help, where before, um, we've always been those that have been reaching out to others and trying to provide and help other people, feeling like we've really been blessed with a lot of things and we didn't really need much from other people. Uh, but now, in these trying times, especially over the last 6 to 8 weeks, we've really had to humble ourselves. God has really brought us down a notch or two, helping us to
Yeah.
understand a little bit more fully how we do rely on Him for everything. And it's okay to let other people in. It's okay to let other people have the blessing of helping you in whatever circumstance. It's a wonderful opportunity to gain stronger bonds with those people as you allow them to serve you, um, instead of just always it being the other way around. The give and take in relationships truly is important. We were give, 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 never take, and it felt fine. It felt good. Um, but we didn't realize what it was doing to limit some of those relationships that we were building with other people.
Yeah.
So,
You
so
said it
we
so
are,
well. It's always give, give, give because we think we can always provide, but it's really hard to be on the receiving end. And as business owners and as leaders of communities, it sometimes feels almost impossible to accept the receiving part. And this is something that I've noticed in myself, if someone tries to give me a little more space, hey, I want to invite you to my community, I would be like, wait, what can I give? No, you don't need to give anything. You can just receive from being in that community. And I'm like, but what can I give? Why am I in this community then? What can I offer more? And it kind of leads me to the question, and I want to discuss a little bit about this. Why is it so hard for us to receive when God is always the great provider?
I think you hit the nail on the head earlier when you talked about pride. Um, we and all of our insecurities as mortals, in the ways that we know that we fall short, that we're consistently um, not living up to some of our mentors or our heroes, even our Savior, uh, it becomes difficult to consider the fact that we are less than even the less than that we already feel.
Mm,
And to acknowledge that and to accept that and not allow it to tear us down, but to allow it to open us up, because that's why these things happen. Whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth. Well, why does he do that? It's not so that he has the opportunity to make us feel terrible and bad about ourselves and the things that we're doing. It's to bring us back to him. It's to bring us back into a place where he knows we're going to find the ultimate joy and happiness,
yeah,
where we're going to make the most connections with other people. You're talking about being part of, invited into somebody else's community. What am I supposed to do here? What am I going to give? Um, Largely, we don't really have to worry about that if we are just participating, right?
yeah,
If we are just there for the right reasons and interacting, showing love and compassion. I mean, trying to live the first two commandments, love God and our neighbor. If we could just remember that, a lot of the other things would fall away on both sides. The give and take would be, there'd be no scorekeeping.
Yeah.
It would just be the way that we live our lives. It's just the way that we interact. It's just the way that we grow.
Yeah. I'm so happy you mentioned the the two commandments, love thy God and love thy neighbor. And there's one part of the second one that I love a lot. It's as yourself. We forget that from the perspective of respect, of of trust God and trust your neighbor, respect God and respect your neighbor. We forget to bring all of that to ourselves from from a humble place, not from a prideful place. Getting off of I am important or everything else is needs to be a certain way, even when we don't accept to receive, that's also prideful, just like you said. Even when we don't accept to be seen as part of the equation of love God, love thy neighbor, and yourself, we think we need to be extracted because, oh, I'm okay. Yes, we are okay, but we're missing the point. We cannot love from an empty cup. We cannot trust from an empty cup. We cannot show respect from an empty cup when we are empty and bitter and hurting. But when we finally say, hey, I'm bitter and hurting and empty, people can also show their love for us. We can become the neighbor. And that's when I really believe, as business owners and as we're building brands online, it's really hard to be in the spotlight and also take yourself out of the spotlight to receive. Do you know what I mean? To be in that
Absolutely.
space of, okay, I know I'm giving, because there's a lot of giving in building. There's a lot of pouring. And we were talking about this even yesterday in our talk, like so much pouring out of us to build something that helps others, but we forget to also take ourselves off of that spotlight of giving and receive, genuinely receive, not from a place of I need to receive so then I can morph it into more giving. I just receive to sit with it. I just receive to be nourished by it, whatever that it may be, even just the love of God, the peace that God gives us when he tells us to be still and know that I am God. But that part of be still is literally him telling us this is how you receive when you're still. But as business owners, I've noticed the pattern is we just go, there's no stillness. So this kind of
Right.
leads me, and you're the best person to talk about this because you are the king of longevity and everything in my world. When you think of receiving from a place of stillness as business owners, what are some things that we need to kind of be aware that could hurt us if we don't find that stillness that God tells us to have?
I th You alluded to it, and it is being still has many, I feel like, nuances to it.
Mm,
Because we can't just sit around and wait for revelation. We can't just sit around and wait for, okay, I've done this. Now I'm just going to sit here and wait for you to tell me exactly what the next best move is, right? That doesn't, that's not the way that God functions.
yeah,
That's not the way that our Father in heaven anticipates we will move through life. That actually is way too much stillness.
yeah.
But there are other scriptures that do tell us about, riding on speeding horses, they actually moving so quickly that there's no opportunity to receive revelation. There's no opportunity to receive guidance. Um, and we charge ahead for getting our identity. We charge ahead for getting the identity of others. You were talking earlier about the filling others' cups with an empty cup. I think everybody understands at this point, because there's been so much talk about it, that self-love and self-improvement is necessary consistently, so that we don't feel burned out. We appreciate other people. And that's really the whole thing, as far as being still, is you can be still in moments to regain the understanding that maybe you had forgotten in the moment of simple things,
Mm,
such as to remember okay, I am a child of God. I am a person of infinite worth. There is so much that I have to offer this world because of the things that I inherited as a son or daughter of deity. And then to move from that into remembering, guess what? I'm not the only one. All these people here, all around me, they're the same.
Yeah.
So, what is it that we are doing to glorify our Father in heaven, and also to make sure that we are all filling the measure of our existence,
Yeah.
becoming the best that we can, fulfilling the purpose for which we were born. And uh, yeah, that's all I got right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. No, it's really important because you said something so well, and it goes back to the identity. We forget that we are sons and daughters of a deity. He lives in us. We are as him. He even created us in his image to his likeness. So when we build anything, we step into the role of, to lack of better terms, mini creators. We create that. God gets to work through us, yes, but we're the ones that build it. We're the ones that put the brick and mortar. We're the ones that put everything, channel everything from God, making sure that, hey, this is something that will serve. Because if we have that vision, it didn't come from nothing. It came from a source that constantly feeds us. So we're always in the receiving end of that. We just sometimes become selective at the receiving end. Do we want help from the world? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe we get to be so self centered sometimes to believe that the world is not good enough to offer help for us. I have God's help, but then God's like, but I want to help you through other people. How can I help you? If you don't let the world from outside help you. And it stems from being so anchored in a false identity that we have to do everything. We were trained a lot by the hustle culture that everything needs to be done despite your health, despite your wellness, despite anything, despite breaking relationships, despite anything that comes to you, it has to be done. And hustle culture and push, push, push so that you can make it happen and pump your chest and amp yourself up to keep going in the detriment of respecting yourself, respecting the Father, respecting your fellow people around you. That can be done. That whole process can be done differently when we step out of that identity of, I need to do it myself. Because when we step out of that identity, and you probably felt this even now in this chapter, I know I have, when we're building things and we're having a hard time in other areas, we tend to just buckle down and hold on for dear life. But when we actually ask for help and are open and transparent with everything that's going on, yes, my business is going great and my house is in shambles. And I would love to be more a leader in my coaching business, but I also have this practice that's going. And it's not either or, it's all of it. And sometimes when we have something that's good in our lives, we have that tendency to feel like if that's good, I shouldn't complain about the other. You know, we were talking about if this is so heavy and hard, some other people are having way worse, so I shouldn't complain. Yes, but to the analogy that we were talking yesterday, the weight of a cup is as heavy as you hold it. It's not as heavy as the liquid in it or the emptiness in it. The weight of the cup is actually as heavy as you hold it. So when we have all of that stress, all of that weight, no matter if it's harder or less hard than other people, it's still heavy to carry. So I want to ask you now, when someone comes to you and they've been carrying something for so long and they've been at the end of their rope and they say, I can't carry this anymore, but other areas of their life are okay, what would you tell them?
Great question. I would first find out what it is that makes that thing so valuable to them.
Mm,
It's always about association, right?
yeah.
And the fact that you brought up carrying something, we all tend to carry those things for long periods of time that we don't want to let go of because of the association, the value that we've placed on it.
Yes.
For some reason, we are still carrying it, even though it may be destroying us.
Yes.
And then find out, what is it that makes that so valuable to allow it to detract or diminish these other things that we know are good in our lives, but
Yeah.
could be better because of what we're holding on to on the other hand.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's so important to realize that sometimes we carry things that are heavier than we want them to because we're afraid of putting them down. Who would we be without the thing that we carry? It goes back to identity. Who could we be when we actually put down the weight that we've been carrying for so long? I know the moment when I put my weight down and I realized I am not that. I'm not my depression. I'm not my anxiety. I'm not my darkness. It was just something that the enemy told for the longest time in my life that I believed that that was me until it wasn't. Until God was like, "Can you put it down? It's dumb. You're carrying it for so long. Come on, put that down. It's not yours. I don't know why you were holding it. You are free. You are blessed. You are a child of God. Come on, snap, snap." It was like I could build from a different place. And you probably felt that too. When we put the weight down of something we've carried for so long, it feels like you can finally build from a place of, I have my hands free now. I have my hands free and I can build and it's light. And yes, the thing is still there if I want to pick it up. But do I want to pick it up? Do I actually want to worry about picking the thing up that's been holding me back from actually going the long run? Because I can't run with a heavy thing. Yeah, I can build resilience and muscles to carry it. But if I put it down, I am 10 times more faster and more aligned and more capable. So I want to talk about this with you. Have you, and most likely you have you seen in your practice patients that have have held a lot of stress in their bodies? And because when you crack everything and everything's aligned and they start working on themselves and take care of properly themselves, have you seen a physical, tangible shift, both in their bodies, but also in their minds, when they start walking without the weight that have been carried in their bodies?
Yeah, of course. It all comes back to pain, right? Whether we're talking physical, emotional pain,
Yeah,
it's a distraction. And the way that we live our lives in pain is just like what you were talking about. You're carrying that, it's there. You can choose to pick it up again. You can choose to pay attention to it. Sometimes it's just something you cannot avoid paying attention to.
yeah,
But as people do move through their pain, um, the difference that you see there is an awakening of themselves. I think of people in particular who come into my practice and who are in a considerable amount of pain. And I try and engage these people from the very beginning, every time they walk into the office, with anything positive that we can talk about. There are so many studies, and one of my favorite books of all time, called, The Rabbit Effect, talks about how these personal connections that we have with each other do far more for us physically and emotionally and mentally
yeah,
than a lot of the treatments that might be given. And I have seen that as people come in, as I just connect personally with them, no matter what their pain level is, you see a little bit of that lift, even just in the first few interactions that we have before, we go into therapy,
yeah,
right? And then after therapy and during therapy for me, I continue to engage them in positive things, bringing up the things I know they've been blessed with in their life,
yeah,
right? Helping to shine a light in those dark places, helping them to remember these things that are in the dark places are actually the things you should be focused on. Where right now, what's in the light is your pain.
Yeah.
it's very easy to focus on that because it's ever present right there. So much noise.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And you said it so well. It's so much noise when we carry so much pain, so much weight, so much chaos, so much clutter, be it energetic, spiritual, mental, physical, whatever. It still is kind of a disconnect from who we really are. Because if we think of God, going back to Him, because we love Him, He is order, He is structure, He is clarity and truth. What is not that is chaos, is deceit, is disconnect. So when we are not, because we are created by God in His image, when we are not in alignment, when we're not structured, when we're not disciplined and orderly, we create that chaos and we become disconnected from who we really are at the end of the day. Yes, we become disconnected from God, but we also become disconnected from who we are as individuals. And then that kind of leads me to what we were initially talking about, how it gets lonely on the way to the top, because we become also disconnected from knowing that other people are on their way to the top too. Other people
true.
are there to build visions that are all connected to a certain way to God, to the bringing back of order, of clarity, of stability here in this world, whatever you want to call it, be it through your practice or through coaching or through whatever we're doing, we're trying to bring back order. We're trying to bring truth to light. That's it. We can all sum all of that up. So when you think of getting lonely at the top and on our way to the top, what are some really simple awareness practices that people can, and our listeners right now, can do and practice that would help them be more aware that they're not alone anymore?
Great question, because I really feel like that's at the heart of not only what you're talking about, but so much of the disparity and the disconnect that we have just as a world, the isolation that comes from a a singular purpose, a singular vision. Those don't have to be bad, and quite often, um, as entrepreneurs, as people seeking to build businesses, as people in business, you isolate yourself because you become so busy with
Mm,
the day to day,
yeah,
because you're the one running the show, right? It doesn't matter how many people you've been delegating to, you still have to follow up with those you've delegated with. It doesn't matter how many people you've hired, or if you need to let some people go. It's always you managing the show. And it's very easy to forget the reasons that you started down that path in the first place. One of the greatest things that I've found to really reclaim focus, reclaim connection, get out of that isolation, that loneliness that inevitably you feel, is by understanding that your sacrifice for other people is why you got into this in the first place. And that's what builds true connection is, okay, what am I doing to serve others? What right now could I do that not only moves me forward, but actually serves the people that I'm trying to serve anyway? And I can start with those that work for me, those that work beside me. It's all about sacrifice, bringing the blessings that you're seeking. Sacrifice, looking for service on the behalf of others will always bring us out of those dark moments, back to the clarity that we're seeking, the next best thing, the next best step.
yeah,
Because in those moments is when we are surrendering our will to God and our fellow man, going back to the first two commandments. And I just want to say something too about what you brought up earlier when it comes to the things that we do to remember that it's loving others as we love ourselves.
yeah,
Uh, the One of the greatest reminders to me as to why I should love myself is because if I am not loving myself, then that is kind of flipping off God. I'm just like, this thing that you've created, I
I
have
love
no
that.
respect for. this thing that you have, this person that you have created, this soul, this spirit, this body, I don't have respect for that. So how would I have respect for any of the rest of these things that you've created? And when I think about it like that, it's like, oh shoot, I better really take a step back and let's start at home
Yeah.
and look at all the things that God has created in me so that the rest of this world can be benefited. And that's not out of pride. It is, because we keep coming back to that very thin line between pride and self-esteem. And Satan is great about blurring that line a lot
Yes.
to make us think that, no, you can't feel good about yourself. You can't feel great about those things that you've accomplished. You can't, whether or not you've praised God for those things, you should never feel good about that, right?
Yeah.
Because you did it and that's pride every time. But healthy self-esteem allows us the ability to feel so good about ourselves that we can love as close to perfectly as possible, right? We get that true Christ-like charity for
Yeah.
others, that pure love of Christ that will then bring us to do everything that we can for everyone else around us in the most perfect way possible because we are being guided by God and His Spirit.
Oh man. Oh man, that was so good. So good. I love it. And it's so true because we tend to think if we have good self-esteem, it means that we are prideful. But what if we change the story about that and good self-esteem is actually feeling grateful, which is one of the fruits of the spirit. We're
Absolutely.
grateful. We're grateful
Yep.
for who God made us. We're grateful for our minds, for our hearts, for our spirits, for our abilities, for the darkness that we got to overcome. And now from that, we get to bring lessons to others, just like you were saying, that sense of sacrifice. Hey, I sacrificed 25 years of my life living in all of that darkness. Then God came and plucked me out of it and said, tell them the story. And that is the vision, that's the mission. When we sit in sacrifice and in service for others, we also get to sit in sacrifice and service for ourselves because we get to choose to be the ones that brings the vision to life. We get to choose to accept the mission. Hey, do you accept the mission to bring more of God's truth and light into this world? Sure. Because we can be, and you and I both agree on this, we went through a lot in our lives and God brought us out of a lot of darkness. We can just be like, okay, now I can just get a regular job and be okay. And, God would be happy with that anyway, because we would still be honoring God and we would still be feeling the blessing of God's love, bringing us back to full life. But we can't, because both you and I know that if we would just live average lives, God would not be upset. But we wouldn't feel like we're doing everything in our power to bring others where we are too. You know it and you feel it.
Yes.
That's why we can't accept mediocrity. That's why for kingdom leaders that build really big missions and have really big visions, yes, it might get lonely on the way to the top because we're trying to run with old systems of not seeing that a lot of us are going the same direction. We're just like, our heads are so down that we don't see. If we lift our heads up, everyone's climbing that mountain. Everyone that decided to be a kingdom leader and not just live an average mediocre life has said, okay, God, I know this is a massive vision that you want for me. I am really terrified, but I'm making it happen anyway because you said we can make happen and we can bring this to more people. And we step up. So when we're thinking of that climb, that's a nice visual. When we're thinking of that climb from a point of gratitude for what we're able to do, what is one truth that you think kingdom leaders need to really anchor in as their way to the top, as they're making their way to the top?
I think about some simple things, and that's the way I've tried to live my life, especially in recent years, is with all the noise and how complicated the world is and how self-absorbed so many are. It's very easy to fall into the trap of negativity because,
Mm,
from our news to social media to our neighbors and everything else, negativity is prevalent. Um, I don't want to say that it dominates because I don't believe that's true, but there is a lot of it out there, and we get bombarded with it
yeah,
consistently, constantly, and we have the ability to choose to believe that is truth or to not believe that.
yeah.
Um, but as far as like the climb and keeping it simple, and how do we on our way up stay grounded? I think it's one of those things that's spoken all the time, and it's fall in love with the process. So
Mm,
if we just take this analogy that you brought up of actually making a climb, if you've ever done any climbing, and I used to live in Utah, and we did a
I
lot
love
of climbing
hiking.
out there. I did mountain biking, some great things, beautiful area, beautiful state. Um, you can either dread it from the very moment, understanding, oh man, that's how much elevation change over what, amount of mileage, and where am I going to have my water, and how many, energy packets does that mean I need, how much food, and what do we need to pay, you could get involved with all the planning and just let that completely wear you down before you've even begun to climb. Or you can understand that preparation is always part of any process, and that when you have prepared and then you are making the climb, just enjoy the view, right? From the bottom to the top. Enjoy every step. Oh my gosh, look at those beautiful flowers. Oh, look, it's a quail. Oh, wow, it's an elk. Everything along the way can be something of beauty, can be something right back to your point of gratitude, right?
Yeah,
All the amazing things that you're experiencing on that climb, instead of, ah, crap, I've got another mile and a half and still another 2,000 feet elevation.
yeah.
And what am I going to do when I get to the top? I didn't even consider what happens then. And I think that that can also be something that makes things lonely at the top. You've been pushing and pushing and pushing for so long with this one vision and this one picture that you had of what the actual top looks like. If you're there at the top and you're looking around like, is this all there is? Then it's probably because you have not kept your eye on the prize. And what I mean by that is you have made the climb and you've made the destination all your own and not included other people, including God, because there's always another summit. And I don't know if you've been on any of, I know you live in a very beautiful part of the world. When you go to a mountain range, it's inevitable that you're going to find some places just a little bit higher when you're
Yeah.
doing your stuff.
Yeah.
And to look to that mountain and, oh, who's over there? How can I participate? Is that part of my vision? Is that the next place for me? Again, it's just
Yeah.
finding joy in the journey.
Yeah.
And that will constantly bring you daily the energy, the joy, the passion, the purpose, uh, the reason for what you are doing, especially in those dark moments. Just take a moment to look at where you are. Turn around if you need to. Very easy on your climb. If you're just climbing and you never look back at what's behind you, it's just a big ominous thing that is still yet to do. And you can't really see that very far anyway. You look behind you and look at all the stuff that you've just been past and how beautiful it is. And wow, look what I did to get to where I am. That can change everything.
Mm. Oof, so good. And I love what you said, to not get distracted by other climbs, to not get so sidetracked by, oh, that can be a thing or that can be a thing, to just look at the thing that's in front of you and fall in love with what you're capable of doing. It's that subtle shift in identity. You can dread every step. You said it so well. You can dread every step and overthink every step, or you can be completely enamored with how amazing it is to just take a step and another step and to make the climb and to be at that climb and to be at the top of the mountain. Because sometimes we get to climb it and to make it happen and to succeed and to feel like I made it. And if we're not disciplined in our thoughts and we're not fully anchored in that sense of self-control that God reminds us, hey, I gave you as a gift. If we don't have that self-control with our thoughts, we would get completely sidetracked of feeling and not feel the gratitude of where we got to be. We would miss it. We would miss the finish line if we were not fully present in the process, fully present in everything that God is giving us. Hey, I gave you 2 feet. I gave you a brilliant brain to make this vision happen. Why are you not making it happen? You're making it about yourself. And you said it so perfectly. When you turn it and make it about them, when you're turning it and making it about everyone that's around you and seeing the process, the skills that you're building as you're building the process, it's so mind-blowing that we get to do this. And as leaders that are creating really powerful visions in this world from literally nothing, honestly, talking to you, it's really humbling to know that we get to do that. That we chose, hey, God said, if you want to go for it, I'm here with you. And we said, all righty, let's make it happen. And it feels so good. And it feels so humbling that we, you, I, the listeners, we get to make it happen. And that's when sitting, just like you said so well, falling in love with the process and sitting in the seat of gratitude every step of the way, having a prayer process, having a gratitude process every day, checking in on the smallest things like, hey, like I was telling you before we started, I have a good hair day today. So I'm grateful that I got to do a lot of content today. I have a good hair day, even though my body battery on my Garmin says I'm at 36% because I slept really little last night. But that's the thing. Sometimes we get caught in, if I would look at my Garmin right now, I would say I'm exhausted. I can't make this happen. But how am I feeling now? I'm feeling like I slept 10 full hours. I'm really excited and I can move a mountain just by the faith of it. That's it. What was different between one version and the other? We just choose it.
That's it.
We fall in love with the process. You said it so perfectly.
I can tell you something else that I thought about just recently with all of the things that we've had going on, is we become very OCD.
Oh my God.
When we feel our control slipping away. And so, man, it's been through the roof for me when it comes to obsessive tendencies.
Yeah.
I will give value and attention to things that make no difference at all, but it seems like an indicator for something else that's coming. So if I can head it off at the pass, right, so to speak, then maybe it won't become something so distracting or terrible in my life.
Yeah.
But by paying so much attention to, wow, that could turn into something bad, I'm already turning it into something bad in my life. It's already a distraction.
Yeah.
I'm already obsessing over it.
Yeah. And sometimes we become obsessed with things and we don't even realize we become obsessed with them because they give us a sense of control and of direct reward for our nervous system. Like, okay, if I do this and I take care of that, then I can just rest for a bit. Like my mind can take a breather. And it's crazy because they're like random, non-important things. Like I'll give you an example. I started cleaning in one of my stressful days, like 2 weeks ago. I wanted to throw things out the window. I started cleaning my promotions folder in my Gmail because it felt rewarding. Did I need to do that? No. Was it important? Far from it. Was it something really urgent and necessary? No. Did I do it for 40 minutes? Yes. I was there going through things. And then when I paused, like I stopped, I'm like, okay, it feels good. I got a dopamine hit from that. My nervous system felt like we got something done. And then my consciousness went like, That was dumb, Anna. That was so weird and dumb. I don't know what you were thinking. Why was that important when you had other things to do? Or you could have just taken a nap, a 40-minute nap,
Yeah.
instead of whatever
And that
that
would have
was.
served you so much better.
So much better. Take a walk
That
for
whole
40 minutes,
dopamine,
go work out
yeah,
for 40 minutes, whatever. And I found myself like genuinely asking my mind, why do you want to do things like that? Like, why would you think the Gmail folder would benefit from your attention? Has nothing to do. That's when I know that's how the enemy distracts us. Because I could have been like chef's kiss after a quick nap or a walk or
yeah,
whatever, or even just disconnecting from the phone altogether.
yep.
But the enemy is like, let's distract. Let's the phone is important. Check out
Yep.
the email.
The dopamine is what it always is.
Yeah. Yeah. And the dopamine, if we can't fully control it, that's going back to scripture. It says to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. It's our job to allow the mind to constantly transform and to also remember that it is in our direct power to have self-control. Those are the moments when we catch ourselves and just put the phone down. We catch ourselves obsessing about something that has nothing to do with anything, put it down. We catch ourselves carrying too much load, put it down. That's where the transforming of the mind actually kicks in, is when we realize we have control to put the damn thing down. That's it.
Yep.
And just that in itself, as leaders, as business owners, as anyone that has any kind of vision bigger than just average in their lives, we have that available for us 24/7. Comes as a package with a free will. Self-control
Yep.
comes as a package with free will.
Yep.
That's it. We don't need more than that.
Yep.
Yep.
And the mind is a stage. That's one of the best analogies I've probably ever heard is the mind is a stage. You can
Yes.
only have one act on it at a time. And the beauty of that is you can displace darkness at any moment, right? You can choose to focus on gratitude or some other elevating thing, and it automatically displaces whatever element of darkness or despair or
Yeah.
whatever negative thing there is completely off stage.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool because I'm a geeky nerd and have a lot of education in the human body. Dopamine and serotonin are two very critical factors in our mental health.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting the negative feedback loop that one affects the other. So, with all this dopamine hit that everybody's getting and trying to elevate their mood and trying to feel better about their lives, are actually at the same time diminishing the amount of serotonin that they have, which also
Mm.
could be benefiting them. So, again, that whole thing between, and this is one of the beautiful things about God is there are blessings hidden and there are blessings obvious. And this is one of those blessings obvious that if you control yourself and don't go seeking so many dopamine hits, social media, pornography, whatever it is,
Yeah.
guess what? Automatically you have more access to your dopamine, but also an equal balance to your serotonin. So
Mm.
win-win.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. It's something that, again, we have control over, but we don't know if we don't know. If we don't know that one can be taken care of with this and the other can find a balance within it, we won't know how to take care of it. Serotonin, now correct me if I'm wrong, my wellness is not as high as yours. Serotonin is made in the gut, correct?
There is a lot made in the gut. Yes.
Yes.
High percentage. Yes.
So when we kind of on a energetic emotional perspective, when we constantly absorb things that are empty, we absorb information that's empty, we absorb entertainment that's empty, we digest that as emptiness. We don't digest it as something that transforms into serotonin to feel good.
Right.
Once we digest all of that, it's just emptiness. We feel a void. When we put the phone down, it's like we just feel numb.
Yep.
Whereas workouts, prayer, feeding ourselves, having a good quality relationship,
Yes.
Community,
Yes.
anything that actually feeds the aligned back and forth,
Hmm.
that's when it actually feeds us good, aligned goodness in ourselves. So it's really important at the end of the day to have that sense of control over ourselves, to know what feeds us goodness and what feeds us emptiness.
Yep.
Yep.
Who or what are you giving your life to?
Yeah, exactly. What has your attention? What's distracting you? And then going deeper into the questions, why is it distracting you? From what?
What need
Every
is it filling for you? Yeah.
right? Every time I find myself just like wandering, losing track of things, and I find myself distracted, and I'm like, what are you distracting me from? Wait a second. And then I circle myself back and then create something or do something or respond a certain way that's so aligned that probably the devil's like, I missed that one.
No, he could see it coming, but at the same time, you and your agency had every ability, and you took that moment to make the choice that edged him out.
Yeah.
He's off the stage.
So when you're thinking of the leaders, when you're thinking of the kingdom leaders that are building all of this, what do you want them to do more of that will keep them closer to God's image for them?
You have such great questions, big questions.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. You've spoken so many things that are essential to that. But I think the biggest one really is gratitude.
Mm,
Because to be in a mindset of gratitude requires a lot of other things at the same time. Presence is definitely one of those. And for me, I regain presence and focus, purpose, identity, all these different things as I practice gratitude, right? And what's one of the easiest ways to do that? It's to sit and be still for a moment. And meditation is great, prayer is amazing. You're actually thinking about all those things, you're paying attention, you're on the climb, and now you've decided to take a moment, look around, and be grateful and to praise the one who created all that in that moment. Uh, that'll take you wherever you want to go. And at any moment in your day, any moment in your night, like you talked about having a rough night last night, there must have been something happening because I also had a very rough night's sleep. But
yay.
to understand that there's a lot I have to be grateful for beyond not having had a good night's rest
Yeah.
helps me to, I remember who I am. I remember that we have these moments of poor sleep so we can appreciate the times when we have great sleep
Yeah.
and everything else in life, the whole opposition, bringing us brighter mornings when we've had darker nights.
Yeah.
And if you can just take a second and be still, especially in those times where you're having the most difficult and darkest moments, you will find the light very quickly because you're
Mm,
going to the source of all light and truth.
mm. Amen to that.
Throw your
Oh,
hands in here.
I love it. I love it. Oh, Chris, thank you so much for today. Thank you so much for this talk. It was absolutely magnificent. And I know we never plan. We're like, oh, let's jump on and talk about this. And it just takes us everywhere. So I'm really, really grateful for your time, for your presence, for your wisdom, for pouring into our listeners so much goodness. Because it takes a really strong man to make all of this happen. And you're the one who's making it happen. And I'm really, really honored to call you a friend and call you a colleague and be able to host you whenever I get a chance. So thank you so much for being here today.
Truly my pleasure. Thank you. It is something that I will continue to seek out from you, and it is never a burden. It is always way more blessings and insight and peace than when I came into it. So yeah, thank you.
My pleasure. Here's to many more, because I have a feeling this is just the launch pad for us.
Absolutely.
So beautiful. So, my loves, thank you so much for tuning in for another powerful week here. I'll catch you on the next one. And until next time, remember, stay salty and bright. Bye now. Hey, sister. Thank you so much for tuning in to Stay Salty and Bright today. If this episode blessed you and stirred your heart towards even more faith and freedom, make sure you follow the show so you never miss what God is doing here. And would you do me a huge favor? Share this episode with another Kingdom sister out there who needs this encouragement right now. Thank you so much for joining this week. And remember, let's stay salty and bright together. I'll see you next time.